For over 200 years, I have been unrivaled in this world. Yet I have been reluctant to ascend. This is because the upper realm is now filled with my former Tao companions. Some were cold and proud. Others were endearingly cute, and some were obsessively possessive. I shared a beautiful romance with each of them. But without exception, they all broke up with me after exactly 1 year. And after leaving me, their cultivation would soar, and it wasn't long before they all ascended to the upper realm. At first, I refused to believe it was fate. I treated every relationship with the earnestness of a first love. But when the 1-year mark arrived, they would invariably take the initiative to break up and leave. Eventually, I resigned myself to my destiny. If I was doomed to have relationships that only lasted a year, why couldn't I be the one to end them? When those women heard me suggest parting ways, some were furious, some were heartbroken, and others were a mixture of both. What I hadn't expected, however, was that nearly every woman who became my Tao companion would ascend to the upper realm within 3 years of our separation, leaving the world of Baiyu behind. This, for a time, made me famous throughout Baiyu. Countless women sought a romance with me, hoping to then ascend to the upper realm. There were even extreme cases, like a great demon lord who went so far as to tie up his own daughter and force her on me. Of course, I refused. I would rather die than give in. It wasn't about anything else. It was a line I absolutely could not cross. I didn't want to be treated like a stepping stone by the people of Baiyu for the rest of my days. If I set that precedent, wouldn't every wannabe ascendant follow the demon lord's example? Thinking back on these experiences, even though I had long since reached the 14th realm, I couldn't help but shudder. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. On the edge of a lofty peak in the Sword Inquiry sect, a beautiful woman who appeared to be in her late 20s spoke to the white-robed man sitting on the cliff's edge before her. Yi Anqi, you little rascal, logically, you should have ascended to the upper realm long ago. Why are you still lingering in the 14th realm? How strange. The man had a tall, straight posture and an incomparably handsome face. A suffocating sword intent seemed to emanate from his very being. This was me, the current sword-wielding elder of the Sword Inquiry sect. I sighed softly. The time is not yet right. Not yet right? The woman behind me couldn't help but roll her eyes. She sat down beside me and gave me a nudge with her elbow. 100 years ago, you said the same thing. You're still saying it now. Do you really think I'm that easy to fool? Senior sister? The woman's name was Lu Ruyi. Like me, she was a sword-wielding elder of the Sword Inquiry sect. 500 years ago, when I first joined the sect and became a disciple of the Ascendant Sword Peak's master. Lu Ruyi was the eldest senior sister of the peak. 500 years had passed. And now, only senior sister Lu Ruyi and I, the youngest junior brother, remained on the Ascendant Sword Peak. The others had either returned to the earth or ascended to the upper realm. Lost in these thoughts, Lu Ruyi became a little nostalgic. I wonder if our other junior sisters and brothers are doing well in the upper realm. Seeing this, I fell silent for a moment, then clutched the spot where she had elbowed me and cried out in mock pain. Senior sister, your elbow strikes are getting more and more practiced, and the force is getting stronger and stronger. Oh, come on, she retorted. I barely used any force. Heavens, that was without any force? If you had actually tried, wouldn't I have been sent to my ancestors? Lu Ruyi couldn't help but laugh. The nostalgic melancholy she had just shown dissipating like smoke. The pained look on my face vanished as well. We didn't say much more, just sat on the cliff's edge, quietly watching the sun set behind the mountains. Just as the last sliver of the sun was about to disappear, I suddenly felt a weight on my shoulder. I glanced over to see Lu Ruyi's head resting there, a faint smile gracing her lips as she slept. She was truly beautiful, even at over 600 years old. Her mastery of appearance-preserving arts meant that not a single trace of time marked her face. Even I had to admit that senior sister Lu Ruyi's beauty definitely ranked in the top 3 of all the women I had ever seen. Yi Anqi, Lu Ruyi, who had been resting with her eyes closed, suddenly opened them and called my name softly. I pulled my gaze away from her and looked back at the last remnant of the sun. I'm here, I replied, staring at my perfect jawline. An imperceptible, hazy look entered Lu Ruyi's eyes. She then whispered, if you're worried I'll be lonely and that's why you've stayed for another 100 years without ascending. You don't have to. I would much rather you ascend sooner. My expression turned serious. Lu Ruyi's talent was extraordinary, otherwise, our master would not have chosen her to be a disciple of the Ascendant Sword Peak. Unfortunately, she was gravely injured in a secret realm in her early years, causing her cultivation to be permanently stuck at the 12th realm, unable to advance another inch. It could be said that Lu Ruyi had no hope of ascending in this lifetime. But that wasn't the reason I lingered in the lower realm. If I wished, I could shatter the void and ascend to the upper realm at any moment. The main reason I hadn't was that I had a few too many ex-girlfriends up there. A wave of bitterness washed over me at the thought, and I quickly pushed the memories away. Senior sister, don't overthink it, I said to Lu Ruyi. I don't have such complicated thoughts. The only reason I haven't ascended is that the time isn't right. Lu Ruyi sat up straight, not believing my words. The time? The time? Junior brother, since when have you practiced the art of divining heavenly secrets? After a moment's thought, she suddenly recalled my past romantic transgressions and couldn't help but gasp. Could it be, junior brother, are you worried that the creditors from your past love debts will be waiting for you in the upper realm? I chuckled and rubbed my nose, thinking to myself that my sharp-witted senior sister had finally hit the nail on the head. Seeing my silence, Lu Ruyi knew she had guessed correctly. She smiled and gave me another elbow jab. What are you afraid of? So many years have passed. They've either moved on or found someone new. They've probably forgotten all about you. Why worry about such things? Having gone through several life and death experiences with me, Lu Ruyi knew my character well. She didn't care about the love debts I had incurred. I had considered what she said, but my heart still felt a little hairy. Here in Baiyu, I could be the head of a chicken, but if I ascended to the upper realm, I'd be the tail of a phoenix. And if I ran into a few of those exes who held a grudge, the consequences were unimaginable. Suddenly, a smile appeared on Lu Ruyi's face. Instead of thinking about all that, she asked, why don't you think more about Nangong Yuer? As soon as the name, Nangong Yuer, was spoken, the corner of my mouth began to twitch uncontrollably. Of all the partners I had dated, the one who gave me the most headaches and instilled the most fear was this Nangong Yuer. She belonged to the Sky Demon Palace, the leading demonic power in the demon domain. Though only in her early 20s, she had already reached the 7th realm, making her the pride of her generation in the entire demon domain. She was competitive, ruthless, and vengeful. If not for a perfect alignment of favorable circumstances, I would never have captured her heart back then. Her temperament also dictated certain things. For example, for her, there was no breaking up, only death do us part. I could never forget the look on her face when I told her I wanted to end things. She was smiling, a seemingly happy smile, but her eyes were bloodshot. She didn't say much, just urged me to leave the demon domain. More than a decade had passed, and she hadn't made a single move. But knowing her as I did, I knew in my heart that this was just the calm before the storm. She was also the sole exception, the one who hadn't ascended within a few years of our breakup. This made me feel as if I had finally broken some kind of curse. Suddenly, I sensed something. I shot to my feet and looked up at the sky, a thought flashing through my mind. It can't be such a coincidence. Can it? What's wrong? Lu Ruyi was about to ask when she saw the clear skies suddenly fill with dark clouds as a fierce wind began to blow. The powerful cultivators within the Sword Inquiry sect all had their expressions change drastically. One by one, they soared into the air. Activate the sect formation, quickly, a middle-aged man in a green robe commanded, his voice echoing throughout the entire Sword Inquiry sect. Just as his words fell, I, dressed in a white robe, suddenly appeared beside the green-robed man. I reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder. The middle-aged man's face shifted slightly, but upon seeing my face, he relaxed and quickly clasped his hands in respect. Senior brother Yi. I patted his shoulder, signaling him to relax. Don't be nervous. She's here for me. I'll lead her away from the Sword Inquiry sect. This green-robed middle-aged man was the current sect master of the Sword Inquiry sect, Chen Horan, a member of the previous sect master's lineage and my junior brother. Upon hearing my words, Chen Horan's gaze turned resentful. The first time he had heard my name, Yi Anqi, was because I had become the Tao companion of the goddess in the hearts of all the male disciples of the Sword Inquiry sect. To everyone's surprise, I ended the relationship after just 1 year and then immediately got together with one of the 3 great beauties of the Azure domain. This made the name, Yi Anqi, particularly memorable for Chen Horan. Subsequently, without exception, no woman stayed with me for more than a year. The powerful factions behind some of these women frequently came to the Sword Inquiry sect demanding an explanation. Fortunately, after Chen Horan took over as sect master, these incidents stopped, mainly because most of those women had ascended, coupled with the fact that I had stopped my reckless behavior. Chen Horan had assumed I had settled down due to old age and a failing body. He never expected that after just over 100 years, I would be starting up again. I ignored Chen Horan's gaze. With a flicker, I was already high in the sky. Who is Yi Anqi? A voice boomed down from the cloud-covered sky like thunder, causing a ringing in the ears of 90% of the people in the Sword Inquiry sect. Even Chen Horan, a powerhouse infinitely close to the 13th realm, felt his ears buzz. This shocked him. Just a voice alone causing him such discomfort was something even a 13th realm expert likely couldn't do. It had to be a 14th realm great power. High above, I was completely unaffected. A smile played on my handsome face. I suppose, I called out, that I'm the only one in the entire Sword Inquiry sect named Yi Anqi. Were you looking for me? As my voice faded, I vanished from the sight of the Sword Inquiry sect members. Along with my disappearance, the dark clouds and raging winds in the sky also vanished. Soon, the sky returned to normal, leaving only the unsettled hearts of the sect members below. Staring in the direction I had disappeared, Lu Ruyi pressed a hand to her heart, a look of melancholy in her beautiful eyes. Last time you left, it was for 60 years. Who knows how long it will be this time? Lu Ruyi slowly closed her eyes, letting the cold wind wash over her. Again, I failed to say it again. The last time was over 100 years ago. She had wanted to confess her feelings but couldn't. This time, today, she had wanted to tell me her feelings because she could feel her life's end approaching. Yet she still failed. Lu Ruyi opened her eyes again and shook her head slightly, murmuring, I only hope I can see you ascend to the upper realm before my time is up. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Above a vast, silent sea, a black-robed old man appeared like a ghost. Without a word, he gestured to his side. In the next instant, a woman in a red dress with heavy makeup appeared beside him, carrying a coffin on her back. The woman looked to be in her early 20s. Like a celestial fairy descended to the mortal world. Peerlessly beautiful, was likely an understatement. The moment she saw me, the corners of the red-dressed woman's lips curled up, the angle getting higher and higher, her smile becoming more and more wicked. We meet again, Brother Anqi. Looking at the woman before me, my expression was complicated. It's been over a decade. Have you been well? I knew my own role perfectly, a complete scumbag. Therefore, in every relationship, I would do my best to compensate the other person, to make myself feel a little better after it ended. But I never realized that it was precisely this wholehearted devotion that caused them to fall deeper and deeper. I was a bad guy, but not completely rotten. I was a scumbag, but not a thorough one. The red-dressed woman smiled sweetly. These past 10 years have been the best 10 years of my life. She then patted the coffin on her back. Yua remembers that Brother Anqi loves the sight of snow falling from the sky. So I spent 10 years forging this coffin. It contains a universe within, capable of manifesting all the snowy landscapes of the heavens. Most importantly, it's for lying down. There's just enough room for you and just enough room for me. Does Brother Anqi like it? My jaw tightened. Did this person, the moment she finished forging this coffin, immediately rush over with this old man to find me? Don't even ask. Knowing her personality, it was highly likely. This woman in red was none other than the last Dao companion I had. Nangong Yuer. I tried to make my tone as gentle as possible. The Azure domain is so far from the demon domain. For you to come all this way to find me, I am very grateful. But this gift, I have no use for it at the moment. Brother Anqi is so funny. Nangong Yuer laughed so hard she swayed. You'll have use for it very soon. Then, she turned to the silent, black-robed old man beside her. Grandfather, please grant your granddaughter's wish. Hearing this, the old man sighed. Without further ado, he stretched a hand towards me. In an instant, the long calm sea began to churn. A massive black hand shot out from the water, attempting to crush me. But just then, I reappeared on another patch of the sea, causing the black hand to grasp at empty air. The hand exploded with a terrifying shockwave, sending massive waves across the sea. Countless fish in the water were killed by the spreading force. Such speed, the black-robed old man's face showed a hint of surprise. Although it was a casual strike, its speed and power were both above the 13th realm. There were only a handful of people in all of Baiyu who could withstand it. This made the old man look at me with new respect. He immediately struck again, the spiritual energy in his body surging, emitting an unsettling aura. Even I couldn't help but frown. Silently, dozens of forces locked onto my body like shackles, making me feel heavy, as if I were bound by invisible chains. If the old man's previous attack was casual, then at this moment, he was getting serious. The old man pointed a finger and softly called out. Instantly, a gigantic fish demon, exuding a black aura, leapt from the sea, its bloody maw gaping as it lunged to bite me. At the critical moment, countless invisible sword edges suddenly raged. In the blink of an eye, the giant fish demon shattered, turning into a dense mist of blood that scattered in all directions. Seeing this, the black-robed old man glanced at Nangong Yuer. Nangong Yuer also had a look of surprise in her eyes. The old man instantly understood. So, my own granddaughter had no idea about this man's true cultivation level while they were together? Not only did Nangong Yuer not know my true cultivation, but at this moment in Baiyu, besides my senior sister Lu Ruyi who had guessed my approximate level, no one else had a clue. The black-robed old man looked at me, a smile touching his aged face. You have some skill, but this is where it ends. As he spoke, he raised a hand. All around me, illusory chains suddenly appeared, instantly binding my hands and feet. The chains began to tighten, and a terrifying force pulled me towards the old man and Nangong Yuer. I struggled a few times but couldn't break free. I couldn't help but give a helpless smile. Earth-grade spiritual chi. You really are something. As the princess of the Sky Demon Palace. What is mere earth-grade spiritual chi? The black-robed old man's gaze flickered. He glanced at Nangong Yuer beside him and then said, If you are willing to reconcile with my granddaughter, not only will this earth-grade spiritual chi be yours, but the entire Sky Demon Palace will be yours in the future. At these words, Nangong Yuer's hands, hidden in her sleeves, clenched into fists. Her beautiful eyes were fixed on me, her thoughts unspoken but clear. Seeing her reaction, my heart sank. Her expression made me believe that if I just said, yes, right now, I could reconcile with her. But the memories of those one-year limits flashed before my eyes. I had crashed against that wall time and time again. So many years had passed. Could it be that the one-year curse was finally broken? My mind raced. The black-robed old man was growing impatient. Yes or no? Give me a straight answer. Stop dawdling. I knew exactly what the old man was thinking. From Nangong Yuer's words when we met, it wasn't hard to guess that she wanted to lie in that coffin with me. And as her grandfather, how could he bear to let that happen? Naturally, he wanted me to reconcile with her to avoid the coffin ceremony. Under the watchful eyes of the old man and Nangong Yuer, a handsome curve formed on my lips. Soft words escaped my mouth. I don't know when it started, but I no longer like to gamble. What does this have to do with gambling? The old man frowned. Not understanding my meaning at all, I shook my head gently, looking at Nangong Yuer's figure through the wall of seawater before me, and said with a smile, My meaning is, I refuse. As soon as I said it, Nangong Yuer's pupils constricted violently. The nails of her clenched fists dug into her flesh. But she felt nothing. Ha ha ha. Nangong Yuer suddenly burst out laughing. But her exquisitely beautiful face showed no trace of happiness or joy. The black-robed old man's eyes turned cold, and the atmosphere, which had just eased, tensed up again. He pointed a finger at me. You refuse to see reason? As his voice fell, the chains that had stopped pulling began to exert an unprecedented force. Yet, my face remained calm. I stared at the old man and Nangong Yuer. Mere earth-grade spiritual chi. How can it possibly restrain me? Yi Anshi? Come forth, crescent moon. As my voice fell, a series of sword hums erupted in the area. Invisible sword chi filled the space above the sea. A quick glance revealed thousands, if not tens of thousands, of strands of sword chi, each containing terrifying spiritual power and its own unique intent. This was sword intent. Crescent moon vibrated gently, responding to my call. Seeing this, my smile widened. I tapped my foot on the empty air, and the entire sea instantly froze. A deep blue flame ignited on the body of my sword. As I flew forward, the blue flame stretched out into an abnormally long trail. The sword pierced through the dense black wind, through the black-robed old man's body. The old man coughed heavily, a mouthful of dark red blood spewing from his mouth. Only then did he discover that a sword hole had appeared just inches from his heart. A deep blue flame ignited within his body, constantly burning, forcing all of his vast spiritual power into his dantian. No matter how he tried to circulate his cultivation technique, he couldn't access the power in his dantian. The old man's eyes gradually glazed over, and he kept muttering, "Heavenly fire, this is heavenly fire." He knew with absolute certainty that I had held back with that strike. Otherwise, the deep blue flame wouldn't have just blocked his spiritual power, it would have incinerated him. Body and soul, I didn't care about what was happening behind me. My eyes were only on Nangong Yuer. We looked at each other, neither of us speaking. Nangong Yuer was completely stunned, unable to process what had happened. I, on the other hand, simply didn't know what to say. After a long while, I managed a smile and spoke to the coffin on her back. "You did a very good job. The material is extraordinary. I like it very much." "Then it's yours," Nangong Yuer said, as if possessed. I was about to refuse when a shiver ran down my spine. I shot my head up to look at the sky. I don't know when it happened, but the sky above me was now covered in black clouds. In the center, streaks of purple lightning flashed, and a thick, oppressive pressure of thunder bore down from above. The black-robed old man looked at the churning purple lightning in the sky, his old eyes widening in disbelief. "This is a heavenly thunder tribulation." Heavenly thunder tribulations were rare in Baiyu. They only occurred for one reason: when a cultivator continuously suppressed their realm until their cultivation reached a critical point where it could no longer be contained. Only then would a heavenly thunder tribulation be triggered. If one survived it, they could break through the 14th realm and step into the 15th realm. A stage that had only existed in ancient times. However, no one chose to undergo the heavenly thunder tribulation anymore because too many had died trying. It was said that out of 1,000 14th realm experts who triggered the tribulation, perhaps only one would survive. The black-robed old man never would have imagined that in this day and age, there would be someone so unafraid of death that they would suppress their cultivation until it triggered a heavenly thunder tribulation. And that this person was the white-robed man before him. He had completely underestimated my cultivation. The old man didn't dare to linger, lest he be caught in the disaster. With a flash, he appeared beside Nangong Yuer. "Let's go. If we don't go now, it'll be too late." The moment he finished speaking, he was already carrying Nangong Yuer, speeding away into the distance. In the blink of an eye, they were almost out of my sight. I didn't try to stop them. I just looked at the occasionally flashing lightning in the sky and smiled bitterly. I planned and planned, but I never thought that in today's battle with Nangong Yuer's grandfather, I would be unable to suppress it any longer. If I fail, I die. If I succeed, this world's heavenly Tao will not allow me to stay. I can only ascend. Nangong Yuer. "Oh, Nangong Yuer, you really brought me a big surprise." I looked at the crescent moon in my hand. "Are you afraid, Wang?" Crescent moon trembled violently, emitting a piercing sword hum. Faint wisps of sword chi danced from it, showing its excitement. I shook my head lightly. "I really can't handle you." I looked up at the thunder tribulation that was almost fully formed in the sky. No choice now. I don't want to die. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Several hours later, the entire world of Baiyu was shaken. A single piece of news had spread throughout the land in just one day. After 10,000 years, a 14th realm great power had appeared who dared to trigger a heavenly thunder tribulation. The most shocking part, according to the princess of the Sky Demon Palace, was that this great power had successfully passed the tribulation and ascended to the upper realm. This news was enough to shake everyone in Baiyu, from the common people to the old monsters of the 14th realm. That person was the sword-wielding elder of the Sword Inquiry sect, Yi Anshi. It could be said that the name Yi Anshi would not only shake Baiyu for a short time but would be recorded in its annals for all time. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. On a large platform built high above the clouds, a dazzling pillar of light suddenly rose, dimming all surrounding light. The guards stationed here all had their eyes light up. My God, a light pillar of this magnitude. This is definitely the most spectacular ascension light I've ever seen in my life. Someone truly remarkable must have come from the lower realm. Hush, be quiet, don't embarrass us upper realm folk. At the raised center of the platform, a figure suddenly appeared, looking a little battered, after barely surviving the heavenly thunder tribulation. Before I could even react, a strange power instantly bound me. When I came to my senses, I had already arrived here. A man with golden hair flashed and appeared before me. He had a friendly expression. Congratulations on arriving in the Skywalk realm. I imagine you must have endured many hardships in the lower realm. My surname is Yi, and my given name is Cheng. I clasped my hands in a salute. Greetings, Brother Yi. My surname is also Yi, and my given name is Anqi. Having just ascended, I was in an unfamiliar place and naturally wouldn't provoke anyone for no reason. Especially not someone as friendly as this Yi Cheng. Well, so we're family, Yi Cheng exclaimed. Come, let me give Brother Yi a proper welcome feast. With that, he casually slung an arm over my shoulder and started leading me forward. We hadn't taken 2 steps before several men and women appeared in front of us, looking at Yi Cheng with unfriendly eyes. Yi Cheng, don't go too far. This ascension platform doesn't belong to your Golden Eagle Mountain. That's right, a good seedling has finally arrived. On what grounds does Golden Eagle Mountain get to monopolize him? In my opinion, we should stick to the old rules and let this Taoist friend choose for himself. What are you interfering for? The men and women chided him harshly. But Yi Cheng's smile didn't falter in the slightest. In fact, it grew wider. He turned his head to look at me. Brother Yi, was I just inviting you to join Golden Eagle Mountain? I shook my head. Yi Cheng immediately threw his hands up to the group blocking our path. Did you all hear that? I was just planning to treat Brother Yi to a meal and a few drinks. When did I ever extend an olive branch to join the mountain? The group looked at each other. They knew what Yi Cheng was thinking, but they couldn't call him out on it. The myriad worlds were divided into small thousand worlds and great thousand worlds. The small thousand worlds were the lower realms of the great thousand worlds, and this Skywalk realm was one of the great thousand worlds. The cultivation system was divided into 12 major realms, from lowest to highest: Thankyou realm, Naxian realm, Renxian realm, Zhenxian realm, Dixian realm, Tianxian realm, Jingxian realm, Deluo Jingxian realm, Junxian realm, Shangxian realm, Weisan realm, and Zhenxian realm. Each major realm was further divided into 4 minor stages: early, middle, late, and peak. Generally, those who ascended to the Skywalk realm were at the Thankyou realm. The specific minor stage depended on their realm at the time of ascension. Take me, for example. I ascended after passing the heavenly thunder tribulation. Using the cultivation system of my lower realm, Baiyu, I was at the 15th realm. But using the Skywalk realm's system, I estimated I should be around the early stage of the Naxian realm. Having surpassed the Thankyou realm, which was equivalent to the 14th realm in Baiyu. As for how I knew about the Skywalk realm's cultivation system, I couldn't help but shake my head as I looked at Yi Cheng, who was red-faced, reeking of alcohol, and about to collapse onto the table. A woman, equally flushed, stood beside me and said, Yi Anqi, trust me, come to my soaring crane sect. It won't take more than a few years for you to enter the inner sect. Your future will be bright. A young man at the table heard this and sneered. Indeed, after all, the soaring crane sect is a small faction almost entirely made up of people from the lower realms. Judging by the light from Brother Yi's ascension, it really wouldn't take a few years for him to enter the inner sect. He might even become the sect master or an elder. At these words, the other drunken people at the table roared with laughter, which sobered up the woman beside me considerably. You, with the surname Chen, if your sect is so great, then stop trying to recruit people from the lower realms. What are you blabbering on about? Oh, at least my Absolute Blade sect has many native Skywalk realm cultivators. Do you remember the last time our 2 sects had a major competition? Your top 10 inner sect disciples couldn't even beat the number 1 outer sect disciple of my Absolute Blade sect. You, don't push it. The man surnamed Chen didn't continue to argue with the woman. His gaze shifted to me. So, Yi Anshi, how about it? Want to join my Absolute Blade sect? I smiled. I'm sorry, but I am a sword cultivator. It's not suitable for me to switch to cultivating the blade now. Hearing this, the man didn't press further. He raised his wine cup and toasted me from across the table before downing the drink in one gulp. The others at the table also began to extend their olive branches to me. But I politely declined them all. The main reason was that I didn't understand any of them. Joining a faction without understanding it, no matter how flowery their promises, would not be a wise choice. Having just ascended, I was in no hurry to find a backer. Suddenly, the door to the private room was violently kicked open. Yi Cheng and the others all turned their gazes towards it. One of them even said coldly, "Which blind fool dares to barge in here? Does the drunken immortal pavilion have no one in charge?" When I heard the door being kicked open, I casually glanced in that direction. I saw a white-clothed woman wearing a bamboo hat and a veil standing at the doorway. Just by seeing her beautiful eyes, I felt they were very familiar, as if I had seen them somewhere before. In the next moment, the woman raised a token from her waist. A pleasant voice came from her lips. "Is there a person here who has just ascended from a lower realm to the Skywalk realm?" When the woman raised the token, I could clearly see a longsword also hanging from her waist. On the hilt was a small character, Ching. The instant I saw that character, my pupils constricted. I silently hid my body behind Yi Cheng's, my heart beginning to beat uncontrollably fast. No wonder I thought those eyes were familiar. Isn't that my first love? Bai Qingshui? Over 400 years ago, Bai Qingshui was hailed as the #1 beauty and an elder in the Sword Inquiry sect. She was also the first woman I had a relationship with after I transmigrated. I never thought that just a short while after ascending, I would run into one of the people I wanted to see the least. At this moment, after Bai Qingshui revealed her token, the private room had fallen deathly silent. Even the man surnamed Chen, who had been so cold-faced just now had a smile plastered on his face. Bai Qingshui's cool voice spoke again. "I'll ask one last time. Is there a person here who has just ascended from a lower realm to the Skywalk realm?" This time, everyone in the room, including Yi Cheng, turned their heads in unison and looked straight at me. Following their gaze, Bai Qingshui's eyes narrowed. From her position, she couldn't see who was behind the large figure. He just ascended to the Skywalk realm and already has so many lackeys? Could he be her enemy from the lower realm? No, that can't be right. If he were her enemy, the sect master would never have sent her to find this ascendant. The sect master wouldn't have sent her to kill an enemy in the cradle. Right? Could it be